Hey, this is Jon Leon Guerrero. We have two guests today, veteran songwriter and recording artist Zoe Ellis, and her dad, a songwriter and recording artist who just recently released his debut album, Russ Ellis. I've been a fan of Zoe and her work for a very long time. Her songs spoke to and for a generation of funketeers and hip-hop heads, especially in the Bay Area, with our unique sensibilities and curiosities. She is sharp but sensitive, cautious but bold, cerebral and visceral. And as it turns out, the apple did not fall far from the tree. Russ has been an artist in some form all of his life. But in spite of supporting a generation of musicians around Zoe and her brother Dave, and many of those musicians, by the way, show up on his record, Russ's own pursuits are just coming around to music. Still, he expresses with fierceness, urging his listeners to stand and be counted in our turbulent times. Something it seems he's illuminating because he's been around the block. And if we're smart, we will listen and take in a healthy dose of inspiration with our entertainment. Speaking of inspiring entertainment, my new show, Focus on the Funk, is coming soon. It's also a Lions Rock production, so you'll be able to get it on all the streaming platforms, and we're working out the video component, so it'll be exciting and refreshing, and you know it'll be funky, featuring the foundational personalities from the Bay Area and beyond, and we have a first guest we know you're going to love. It's Focus on the Funk, it's all about music, and it's coming for your big bouncy booty, baby. Hey, we're also coming up fast on 1,000 episodes of the Break It Down show. So we hope you'll hang in there as we count them down. We're not really counting them down. We're just going to smash through it. But given that the average longevity of a podcast, statistically speaking, is a whopping 7 episodes, well, 1,000 is something. And we appreciate all of you who have listened to some of them along the way. Thank you. Anyway, let's get this party started with our guests today, the father-daughter 1-2 punch of Russ and Zoe Ellis.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is Jon Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hi, I'm Zoe Ellis, and this is the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with Jon Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Zoe Ellis has been on the show before. Our longtime listeners will recognize you, and we're waiting on your dad, Russ Ellis, who has also been on the show. And we got some things to talk about today. Some things that I'm very excited about, and some things I know you're excited about, and your dad, I'm positive, is excited about.
Yeah.
So we will do that. He's having a technical difficulty, so hopefully he can sort that out while we're...
He'll figure it out, and I got him here in case.
Also, while he's figuring it out, let's talk about him.
Let's talk about him.
Yeah, he's not here, so we're going to talk about his behind. The thing that really we're talking about is that he's had a song called Oom Chugga that's on his album.
Yep.
Yeah. And he is challenging everybody to do a remix, and it's an open-ended, come as you are, do your thing, and if you want the stems, you can have the stems.
That's right.
And you can remix and do it, and here he is. So I'm going to bring him in.
We look alike, boy.
We have the apple and the tree.
Hello, Father.
Hello, daughter. Hi, John.
How you doing, Russ?
All right, I'm okay.
We were talking about you, Pop.
We
were talking about you while you weren't here.
Well, okay. Go ahead.
Also, you know what? I just instinctively called you Russ because that's your name on as it appears on the screen. But I really am having a struggle. I'm a 50-year-old man. I'm having a struggle calling my elder by his first name. So if I don't do that, it's not because I don't think of you as anything besides vigorous and youthful.
All right. You can call me Dr. Russ.
I will call you that. All right. So
no.
We have celebrated this album that you put together with some help from some of the kids that you helped raise in your village.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about, well, we can talk about anything you want, but one of the things we're going to talk about is the Oom Chugga remix that was recently completed that, man, I'm terribly excited about.
Yeah.
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 So let's hear the story.
Did we talk about all of the remixes last time you were on the show?
I don't think we talked about any of them, did we, John?
We might have touched on them because at the time there were probably 3 or 4 remixes that were on the website.
2, I think, because now we're at 4, right? Or 5.
Oh, okay.
4.
But Dad, remind everybody the story of the original Oom Chugga and what your motivation was for the song.
Well, if you look at any of the songs on Songs from the Garden, I have a real interest in anything that's got some rhythm that involves the body. That I want the sound to get to your body, dance or move or something. And my kids don't know this, but they're hopelessly trapped up in my version of all this stuff because from the time they exited the womb, I danced with them to music and wildly and fiercely. And they don't know, but they don't have any choice at all. They're just hopelessly trapped up in their father's rendition of how you be in the world with music in it. So
yes, sidebar with our listeners. Dr. Russ wants you to shake that thing.
That's right. Well stated, John.
Right. Shake or glide. You can glide.
Bounce, whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, around. However you use your body.
John, I got an example. And my dad used to have these epic parties at the house. And I could sleep through them. And I went to bed. And right around then, the song Celebrate had come out. Yeah. Celebrate good times, come on. And I think it was I probably thought it was 2 or 3 in the morning. It was probably midnight or something, but I had already gone to bed. And I'm going to say around midnight, 1 in the morning, the party really got hopping. And you know how sometimes at a party back then, it was on vinyl. So in order to play the song, you had to pull the needle back, right? So my dad got excited about the song and he just pulled back the needle a million times. And then he came and woke me up and was like, come on and dance, kid. And I went downstairs in my
probably a Wednesday too.
Yeah, right. And I went downstairs in my nightgown and I boogied with his adult friends. He's back.
It explains a lot, actually.
I was one of the greater memories of my life. David knows it too, so I know for sure that it's true. Father.
Oh wow! How old were you?
Probably 9. And you were really into the song, so eventually you just were like, "Come on!" And I came out there and boogied with your friends. So there was a lot of dancing happening. He's telling the truth. Yeah.
We lived at 1333 Grant Street for many, many years. It's a clinker brick, redwood, 2-story, about 2,500 square foot place. But it had this great dining room with all kinds of space. And I had I think I mentioned this last time. I was one of those 1950s hi-fi freaks, So I had everything. You could hear things that bats couldn't hear on my house.
You have recordings of grass growing.
Right. I couldn't hear them either, but I was paying for them, and I knew I had the specs, And so I had these gigantic LBL speakers in the living room. Theater speakers in the living room. And I turned them up full blast and disturb the neighbors. But we lived at a dead end, so it didn't really disturb anybody. But I would take the kids down or pick them up and dance with them in the living room. And that was fun for me, too. And they just let it go. They figure, well, this is what he's like. Let's do this.
No, I had fun.
Oh, okay.
Fun, but I had a great time.
Good. Well, good.
But Oom Chugga is my dad's cry to ask people to vote.
Yes, well, that's what it's for. That's the idea of it. Here comes Darryl, I see.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be in quite yet. He's got another 10 minutes.
Okay.
We got Eric waiting in the wings, though, because he's going to talk about you as well.
Right.
So Oom Chugga, maybe, in a dream musical space, it's probably close to I Love You, Keep On Keeping On, we're in this together. Oom Chugga.
Yeah.
But it's great for making a rhythm, right? Chugga, 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 chugga.
For any
you heard
rhythm,
all kinds of versions of me messing around, with sound and rhythm and vocal stuff. And Chicka Ding, another one I would refer your listeners to check out, did with Al Marshall. Is another thing, just a couple of words that make a rhythm, and then we can blend some music to it. But my thought with both of those with nonsense syllables as parts of their titles is I wanted to just have a simple, uncomplicated entry into people's consciousness about things political. I didn't want to call it, George's, political show or something like that. So anyway, that's what it is. It has no particular meaning and has some strength, I think.
Yeah.
And I love the way the remixes 3 and 4 use it, especially remix 3. There's a moment there when they go, Oom Chugga, and it's just unfolds so beautifully. I love it.
So there's all the homies who are remixing, John. There's Mike Blake, Chris Berger. Chris got my daughter Lily to rap a little bit in one of the remixes. It's great. It's fantastic. If my father doesn't mind me telling the story, when I started writing the remix, I had absolutely no idea where I was going other than, the election is sort of heavy on everybody's mind right now. And I'll be very honest, the story that actually came out of me very quickly was a moment of reflection on, how like if you have a heavy moment in your life, you remember everybody that showed up. And you really remember everybody who didn't, right? When George Floyd was murdered, I had a couple of really painful moments, specifically with white folks in my life who didn't say anything when it was sort of time to pick a side. You know what I mean? Who really didn't, who thought we were cool because we had been cool, but didn't say anything to me, didn't say anything publicly, and it was hard. I think that happened for a lot of us, unfortunately. I'm sure you know that. And so this tune really is my getting that out of my system. I used my dad's vehicle to say, where were you? And why not just show up and be present? And it doesn't take a lot to just check in and say, I'm sorry, you must be hurting, or to reach out to any of the people of color in your life and say, can I do something? And if I can't, just know that I love you and I appreciate you, or something, or nothing. Write a song and then send it to me. I don't care what it is, but I had some hard moments in there. So I got to use my father's song to get that out of my system. Yeah. Which was important for me.
And my motivation altogether was to raid David and Zoe's musical friendship worlds and get out the youth vote. I keep forgetting that they're no longer teenagers.
Hey.
It's still the youth vote. It's still the youth vote.
But I thought they had more access than I did at 85, And so I thought, okay, I've always thought that hip hop was interesting, mainly from the standpoint of the poetry and the mix of the poetry and the music. I thought that was pretty good. I think probably poetry originated in movement and dance and, stuff around fires that kept you safe from gigantic smagagax in the sky or something, But you did something, you moved, you got into your body, others joined you. And the joining is a comfort.
Yeah, there's a visceral connection.
Oh man,
that's a relief.
Right, and every society has a version of that. I think I did Tai Chi for about 15 years, and there were moments I would go over to Chinatown to the Chinese playground over there. Oh God, forget the address, but anyway, and there were moments when the 25 people outside were doing this thing together. There were moments when we were one body.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, we were doing those moves, and we talk about it later. Did you feel that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of hoping, I'm hoping that the Oom Chugga vehicle, and John, I want you, please, encourage at least one of your listeners to contribute another remix. Would you please?
Yep.
Would you
Oh,
be on our side and help us with that? I'm not going to ask you because you're a busy guy.
I am, but I feel called out, and so
All right, good.
I better have to respond. Hey, I'm going to bring Eric in because he's been waiting patiently, and I need somebody to get me off the hook.
I think it's Darryl you want to bring in first, and then Eric. Eric's sitting there.
I don't see Darryl on the stream. I see his text saying that he's here, but
Eric Dinwiddie first.
Okay,
let's do it.
Let's see. Where is Eric? Here comes Eric.
Dan Skate.
Hello, Dan.
Hi.
This is great. So for our listeners, Eric, will you tell us what this whole remix idea has meant for you and, your thoughts on it and kind of the part that you've played? And I'm sure you were an enabler and an encourager. So let's talk about what.
Wait, you got to be real nice. This is Dad's record label, man.
That's right.
That's his.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I might want to start at the beginning first because this sort of segues into this track and the remix was that Dave Ellis asked me to play guitar on a song called Last Glass of Wine, which Russ had written. And I'm like, Russ wrote a song? That's where this started. And I was delighted. I went down to Dave's house and I played guitar on it. And then I met with Russ and we had a nice lunch together. And he explained to me that he was making an album, that he wanted to go through a lot of different genres that he has loved in his life and that he wanted to put it out on my label. And at that time, the only thing on my label was my stuff. I kind of invented Berkeley Cat Records because I'd been making some solo records. I thought I want a label, so I named it Berkeley Cat Records. Russ went to work and was writing and delivering these songs and having them produced by all of these wonderful musicians in his network, some of whom I know and are lifelong friends, and some of whom I'm just meeting now. And one of the songs was Oom Chugga. And after that one was done, and I had a wonderful time playing guitar on that one as well. I'm on a few of them as guitar player. And I think it was Russ who suggested, let's do some remixes of this and get people to guest on it and put down their lyrical and musical ideas and make the message, the focus, encouraging and registering and motivating young people to vote. And so, of course, I was like, what can I do? So we put it out there and I didn't know what was going to come back in, but these wonderful remixes happened. The one that just went up yesterday, it absolutely blew my mind. All of them did, actually. This all just fell into my lap. I'm like, thank you, universe, That's the short version.
That was really well stated. Eric, champion in our father's life. He is a champion. We've known Eric since Dave. When did the Uptones start? When did Dave join the Uptones, Eric?
That would be 1982 or 83.
There you go. So that would make me 12 or 13. And I think your first or second gig was in our backyard, right?
Well,
at Grant Street, that same house, John. So
that was wild.
Wild. Yeah. It was good, though. It was really good. Hey, John, we had that dad. My brother joined a band.
Yeah.
We had mom and dad, actually. And when it was time for them to gig, and they had, back then all of our bands, you remember, John, all of our bands had 13 people in them. So the Uptones, the band my brother was in with Eric and how we met him, got to do a show in our backyard because that's the kind of house we were, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kids want to make music, then they are welcome at the Ellis household.
That's right.
We had a double lot. That was pretty cool, too.
That's good, because they had 13 people in the band.
Yeah, with a bunch of redwood trees and fruit trees. Yeah.
I think the rule was nobody goes in the house.
only once. No, you couldn't go. You had to go to the bathroom, but you couldn't go upstairs. You couldn't go upstairs. You couldn't go upstairs to the bedrooms.
There was like half of Berkeley High and King Junior High and everywhere. It's just like out in the backyard. It was amazing. Mm-hmm.
I read on Hella Berkeley a few things ago. That's the Piero, who I met when he was a 8-year-old at Kilimanjaro Elementary School.
Really?
But
Wow.
anyway, someone put a thing on his site, Hella Berkeley. Oh yeah, I remember that party. Man, that's the first time I got lucky.
Great. Legacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then we're finished.
All right. You'll be right back. No fear. Hey, Eric, while we're here,
Amazon package.
I want to just say thank you, Eric, for the way you have championed this whole situation with my father. It's really,
It is my honor and pleasure. This has been one of the things that has made this crazy year not just tolerable but joyful, even amidst all of the darkness. You know? So thank you. Really.
You're welcome. Yeah.
You know, it's important to punctuate that point because we are going through some trying times, and a lot of people are having a tough time and difficulties in their life with, you know, just employment and being artistic and their creativity being stifled. And in the midst of all of this, it is really important to have creators in our life and enablers of creators and places and spaces for the creation to happen. So, thank you, all of you, for doing that.
I don't want to mess with your trajectory here, but I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm aching for the young people just on the verge of breaking out into the world and becoming themselves. My granddaughter just turned 20 yesterday, Bella, and she's got a new apartment and so forth. You know, of course, I'm nervous as hell for her, but, you know, it's a very pinched world she's entering. This thing's going to be with us for a while.
A minute,
It's going to be with us. And so how do we organize those energies? I mean, young people want to be out. They want to be making. They want to be intertwined with activities in the world. And we're locked in. So, you know, one of the things
I also want to be getting lucky in people's backyards. So anyway.
There you go. Really wanting that, right?
That is never not going to be good. Hey, Eric, I got room on the screen for 4 people, and I got Darryl knocking. So I'm gonna thank you and excuse you. But man, really gratitude, and everybody. Berkeley Cat Records is the label that Eric founded. If you don't know, you can go see everything that everybody's up to at berkeleycatrecords.com, and you can hear the remixes that we're talking about, and you can hear Russ's full album. So go there, Berkeley Cat Records. Eric, can't thank you enough. And also, I'm going to wrangle you into doing an episode of this show with me.
Oh, nice.
So let's do that soon.
Hey, thank you all very much, really.
Love you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
I have an extra person who I'm wrangling her to come say hi.
Oh, here we go. And just as I say that, hi, Lily. Just as I say that, Darryl's screen is black, but he'll be back in a second. So anyway, he'll be here in a sec. In the meantime, I just also want to say, so this remix that you recently sent, Zoe, the one that just went up.
I sent it to Jon first, Dad.
Man,
Jon was the first person to hear this remix.
Yeah.
So
that might be even better than getting lucky in your backyard. So I'm just going to say that being the first person who was not in the studio participating to actually put this thing in my ears, that was a spectacular way to start a Sunday. Now, even better about that was because the song was so well done, so beautifully arranged, so sonically wonderful. And I'm getting to the best part. This song was powerful.
Yeah, thanks.
The song was really powerful. It was really touching. And I couldn't help but think about your reactions, Dr. Russ, to the song. What were those reactions?
Well, Darryl. First off, I was really overjoyed with the scope of what Zoe got her friends to do. I mean, she enlisted a lot of people, including Darryl, right here. Ratchet.
It's because we love you, Pops. That's why.
Well, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the love. There's no question about it. But it was just wonderful to see the chorus of young That's how I still see them.
Yeah.
Of these folks.
Because that's how they are.
Yeah, really.
This is
in
we're
relation
talking
to
about the youth
85.
vote.
Right. Yeah, to get out the vote. Anyway, it was just a delight, and a lot of good musicians. And then got the video I just saw with all the art from the school kids and so forth. So, I'm thinking of this as a seed. David, my son, said he just put together with, what's his name, Zoe? The Stand and Fight?
Jason Peterson Dallaire, JP Dallaire.
Oh, yeah. JP, this thing, Stand and Fight. Now, and so Zoe and I were working on this, and David said, Pop, there's a lot of political energy out in music right now. And I thought, okay, now that's cool.
Yeah.
And so any little seed that gets something going, and Zoe mentioned at least a couple of guys involved, Tommy and somebody, are thinking of working together on something that's an offshoot from this Oom Chugga thing.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
That's a definition of success for me. You plant a little seed and somebody says, hey, man, let's take this and go over here and do this. Plant a seed and have it grow.
Yeah,
we're in,
and it's perpetuating seeds you planted 30 years ago.
Well, there's that.
Yep.
Yes, there's that. Yeah. But anyway, I'm hopeful about what's coming. I really am. Zoe calls me an optimist, but I'm actually genuinely hopeful.
Me too.
Good.
We need to be hopeful. Without hope, we screwed.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah.
But I think this is a transition. A big time transition in American society. It's going to be hard as hell because 1/3, 40 million. I just checked how many registered voters are in the United States. I checked last night because I was watching the news. 150 million registered voters. Okay. Now,
wow.
I asked the question because I was watching the news and I saw 50 million have already voted.
That's right.
And then I saw tonight who they are, and they're our folks.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's going to leave us with.
By our folks, you mean the consensus.
It's going to be. Watch November 3rd. It's going to be. But anyway.
I hope so, because I don't want Darryl to split.
And believe me,
he's married to a Canadian. He might just be out of here.
I'm not messing around.
He's got his hand up and his beard growing because he has a maple leaf tattooed on his neck. We just can't see it yet.
It's time to get the hell out of here.
Dad, one of the great things about this community of musicians that Jon is part of, though he pretends that we haven't all been making music together, because Darryl's the older brother. I think he's older than both Jon and I. Is that true, Darryl? He's like, I don't know. I'm not telling my age. I think a little bit.
It doesn't matter at this point.
The three of us have been on the scene together for a very long time, since I was 25 and I'm 50. But what I loved, and the reason that I asked Darryl to come and join us, is because he just put out a song called Bulletproof. Jon, I'm sure you've heard it. And I felt like, as much as Darryl and I spend our time making music together and always talking about his mother and my father and our families and how much they matter to us, that, in the midst of the quarantine, you're stuck at home. You don't know. None of us knew what was going to happen or where you'd end up creating. And Darryl had this song on his heart for a while. And we had some really good conversations about what he wanted to say. And I feel like he's put out one of the best pieces of work he's put out. And I'm super proud of him. And it felt like a nice string that ties Darryl and I together consistently. We travel through the world and the way it works together. And there's always this string of music between us. So that's Darryl playing bass on the remix of Oom Chugga that I just did. And I'm actually not on Bulletproof. And it's so great. And I only say that to say that Darryl and I can create in a million different ways. Jon and Dad, you can create in a million different ways. But I love that the thread is now tying our community back together in some important ways, that we are all trying to just say, hey, wait a minute. Wait a second. Yeah.
I think it's important for us to use our voices. It's important for us to use our voices and our platforms. And, you know, I told somebody the other day, they said, how did you write this song? And it's like, how could I not write this song? Like, I couldn't stop it from coming out if I wanted to, you know, and you know, the roadblocks that happened in the process. You know, people would be a part of it and they would drop out, but it ultimately happened the way it was supposed to happen, when it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think if I don't do anything else, this is maybe the most important song I've written.
Wow.
And I'm good with that.
Good.
You know, I think, Darryl, too, I just want to say that the similarity for me, too, is what you just said. It just poured out of you. That's what happened to my dad. That's literally how this Songs from the Garden got started, is that Eliza just fell out of his body. He had no choice. And then suddenly there was a whole record in front of him, right?
Yeah.
Just one little tiny thing will just push you right over. And once it's got to come out, it's got to come out. John, are you still writing?
Yes. No, not really. I'll tell you, the reason that I say it like that is because I always mean to get back to writing. But right now, I'm actually just working on my playing because I'm trying to get my playing in shape. And I have a vehicle and a facility to play. And I know I'm very lucky for having that because a lot of people don't have a place to play and people to play with. So I think the way that you are tying this together, though, is that, you know, we love the work that you have done. You and Darryl have made a lot of great pieces of music together, but I think you also create influentially and telepathically. So you can say that you weren't physically on the song Bulletproof, but I know that no matter what the two of you do, your influence and the honesty with which you write and communicate, you know, you have fed each other in ways that we're all going to benefit from here on out. Whether you're on the same song, you're on the same song.
And we're always talking about what we're writing, John. I would add that. And I would also add that, like, the friendship that Darryl and I have isn't a joke, right? Mm-hmm. This is one of those friends in my life who I am brutally honest with and who knows what brutal we are hard on each other, for real. But he's also the one who was at my door with food on the day that my mom died because he was worried that I wouldn't eat. And he's also the one who shows up. You know, my dad got sick for a minute there a couple of years ago, tried to scare us, and there was Darryl. And you're right, there is some telepathic stuff. There's some real sibling stuff happening between Darryl and I love every second of it, except for the parts where we're fighting. But I don't even mind those. We fight well, Darryl and I.
Well, you fight. I just don't talk.
That's not true. That is a lie.
If I say what I think when I'm angry,
that is a form of battle. That is a form of battle.
It's not a form of battle. And I want this show fact checked. I want it fact checked.
You can fact check it all you want. You can fact check it all you want. You can ask my wife. When I'm angry, I don't talk. Because I know I can't take it back if I say it.
That's true.
And I don't ever want to.
We're not that kind of mean to each other.
No, but I don't want to say something hurtful if I'm angry.
Oh yeah.
Because I can't take it. I can't take that back.
Well, no.
And sometimes the stuff that comes to my head is you know, and that's not necessary.
Me too, Darryl. This is
put it in your music. Put it in the music.
That's right. So, and Darryl loves my dad. Let me tell you what, he loved my mama too, but he loves my dad and my daughter, and he's definitely a champion for my family. So thank you for playing on this song, Darryl, for my dad.
Thank you.
Family is a real deal to me, and it doesn't just mean the people that you were born into. There's some people in your family you don't necessarily have to like. But the people that you choose to be in your family, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
there's a growing up family.
Well.
There's a growing up family, and there's a
John is frozen.
Oh, he is frozen.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right, fellas. Let's talk about it. This is Zoe.
I like his hair.
And
I like his hair.
Yeah. His hair has been the same for how long, Darryl? How long has his hair been? John's hair has been consistent.
I've been booted offline. There we go.
There he is.
There he is.
We didn't say anything about your hair, John.
Say what now?
Hair at all.
Oh. No. Hey, man, here's the thing. I'm 50 years old. it's still mostly one color.
Come
and
on.
I have most of it. So I'm gonna let it go. And then when it starts, when it starts misbehaving and falling out and all of that stuff, then I'll clean it up. But this is sort of my last hurrah.
I'm not mad at you.
At letting my hair go. So I'm gonna let it go.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna shave mine off and let it grow back just to piss off people who don't have that option.
Yeah. Just another way of expressing.
Yeah.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about was, while I have all of you on here, is now that we've figured out new ways to create and new vehicles for creating, and now that Dr. Russ is an album maker, what are you going to do next? And how are you going to involve this team that you have amassed around you and that Zoe has helped put together, or I should say re-put together, now that you've reunited all your backyard crew?
Shenanigans, yeah.
Yeah.
And my brother Dave, between the two of us, boy.
Yeah. Well, I'm a pretty happy lad. My granddaughter, as you all are aware, is kicking ass.
Yeah.
And Lily is doing a thing out there. And
she's leaving a lot of asses kicked in her wake.
Woo! Yeah. And it's all very natural. She is all the Ellises are somewhat stage inclined. I don't know where that came from, but that's the case. And Lily is just there. She's not self-conscious. She's not doing it she can do it.
Yeah.
And
she's clearly not starved for attention.
That's exactly right. Very well put.
Yeah.
John, that is spectacular what you just said. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
She's not gobbling up the attention. She loves it. It's fine. She's good at it. But she's using it to make statements. You guys have to see the ad she just did on bullying. Zoe, make sure they see that. It is.
Yeah. Well, she's smarter than most adults I know.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Yeah. So, and my daughter everybody knows my daughter. My daughter's been swimming in this music thing forever, with the help of Darryl and all kinds of other folks. And so Dave's doing his thing, and he goes way down in there and puts all these pieces together and fusses over every little piece, make it all perfect before he lets it leave his house, And Bella is out there doing her thing. So I'm feeling pretty good as a father and a grandfather. And I did this album, and I'm pleased with it. And then the Oom Chugga offshoot is a surprise to me. But I like it, and I'd like somebody else to chime in. Maybe a couple of folks, John, with your help, you'll go get us some folks. But I'm really happy with that. But I'm kind of through. Before I die, I'm 85, so I ain't around here for much longer. But I'd like to get my fingers in some political stuff and do a few things. I've got some buddies who are active politically in their old age. I'm working with a group called Ashby Village, and we're trying to get them this old folk stuff. And so I'm doing that. I have one other project that I'm pretty serious about, and then I'll stop. I just bought a domain called Berkeley Sings, all one word. And I want to go around and collect Berkeley singing. Now, Berkeley with quotes. It can be outside the borders of Berkeley. But I'm thinking of going and getting school kids singing, people in churches singing. And so it's just natural singing that's coming out of the community, and put that out and just have a reservoir for it so people can go visit it. So that's my next project in my mind.
Wait, I just want to say it was absolutely awful, but this is how much your dad loves you. No matter what you do, it's not awful.
It's not.
It was terrible.
No, he does love me. You're absolutely right about that. We got a good thing going on, me and my dad. We got a good thing going on. And, he says that he doesn't have anything that's up. And I believe him when he says that he has a couple projects he's serious about. But as I said in my liner notes about my father, and Darryl will definitely attest to this, my dad is a participator. So he in life. And so it could be that something comes and he decides that he will launch into it. And he's not flighty. He doesn't change from one thing to the other. My pop gets very single-minded about something that he's going to get done, and he Oom Chuggas along to get it done. But, something could come up in the midst of this quarantine. My father's a fabulous painter. He's a grand sculptor. He's made art of all kinds, bronze castings, all kinds of various things. His art hangs all over all of our homes. And something else could bite him. And what I love about him and why I'm so glad to be his daughter is he'll just try.
Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here. And if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
And something else could bite him. And what I love about him and why I'm so glad to be his daughter is he'll just try. He doesn't have a whole lot of boundaries around art. I have boundaries. I'm going to say out loud that I think Darryl and I share a similar kind of boundary of how we want our music to be shaped and to sound. My father has zero boundaries around art in any medium. He has no boundaries. He had a studio for a while, and I would take Lily down to hang out, and he'd have ink and a straw, and he'd be blowing bubbles, and then he'd see how they fell, and then he'd have that blown up so you could see what actually happened in that tiny microcosm, and then have it printed. And it'd just be gorgeous, and you would have no idea why, but he was certainly willing to give it a try. So it doesn't get much better. That's the beauty of imagination. Huh?
That's the beauty of imagination.
That's exactly it. And I think that as an artist myself, having a father like that is really, having a parent like that is really a gift, because it allows you to try, just try and come back and say, sure, you're echoing, hun, but it's okay. You tried.
Yeah, that's why I've been trying to get this adoption thing worked out, because
I know, Dad.
My dad was like, no, you do it like I say.
Yeah.
And
Darryl's looking for an adoption, a formal adoption by you.
We've been talking about this for 20 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true.
Hook a brother up. I don't want anything. You don't.
I understand. That's just fine. I'm open. I hereby declare that I'm open.
Yeah. Hey, I got a great dad, but I'll take another one if you're open.
There are no rules.
He's pretty good. I don't want to forget to say out loud that the reason that all three artists in this corner of the screen sound good on the last couple things that came out has a lot to do with Cam Parridge.
Oh, yeah.
And Cam Parridge is a champion. I mean, he is a champion. He is a phenomenal musician. He is a fantastic engineer and producer and mixer and arranger. He is also, what'd you say?
And the maker of rain.
And the maker of rain. He is like literally, Cam and I cranked out the beginnings and the frame of Oom Chugga in less than a day, just going back and forth on the phone and sending stuff back and forth. And he can work at the speed of light. He's also very honest about what he wants, what he thinks, what he needs. He loves the same family connection. And he poured his heart into Oom Chugga. And every day I got a call or a text from Cam that said, I am so happy to be part of this. And a lot of that sonic goodness that you were talking about earlier, Jon, has a lot to do with that. Not only is Cam good at his job, but he also really wanted to be doing this and Bulletproof. He really wants to be seen, to be participating in the movement that is in front of us. So,
Cam is a huge part of why my music sounds the way it does, but not just because of his engineering skill, but I think it's as important to him that I get what I hear in my head as it is to me. And he will force me to make decisions. Like sometimes I'll go outside and make it something crazy. He goes, no, but you got to do what you do,
Yeah.
Like there was one time where I was going to not play bass on the song because what was there was fine. He goes, no, that's not an option. You got to play. Because even though it might sound good, it's not you. It's like, that's why this stuff works the way it works. And he's been really good at helping me just kind of distill down what I'm trying to get out. And I really appreciate him. He's good.
I'll throw in 2 cents about Cam because if our listeners are less aware, understand that the recordings that we're talking about are, I mean, you guys are just releasing stuff that is sonically world class. Everything sounds absolutely magnificent. Not to say anything's overproduced or anything like that, but just the clarity, the fidelity, everything that you can concentrate on the art as a listener because there is no obstacle to your ears. Your ears get exactly the color and the tone and the texture that was intended. So there's that about Cam, but also his appearance on the Break It Down show. He came over to my house. He had I think it was a surfboard on top of his car.
Oh, a longboard.
It's a longboard.
Yeah. And I don't think he had any shoes on.
Nah.
And like he walked in my house and we had dinner and like my house became more zen because he walked into it. So it's one thing to say that his work is what it is, but his personality has an aura. And when he walks in the room, there's a difference. He's just a difference maker in the mood that happens around him. So I don't doubt any of the things that you say about his contribution just because of the way that he emotes just sitting still.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So. I want to slip in something that I have been meaning to say for a while, and that's about Darryl and the bass. Darryl makes me so happy on the bass.
Oh,
you know,
Thanks.
There's so much going on down there in the bass world in all music. And if you don't know, sometimes it's what's making you happy and you don't even know it. But he lives down there with just such beauty and confidence. And I'm just so happy to know you and to have gone to your live performances out in East Jesus for
Well, I appreciate that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a litmus, right, John? Darryl would be like, Dad coming tonight? And I got to the point where I was like, Darryl, my father has been to your shows, my shows, 9-11 times. He's not coming out to Napa for our 45 minutes set.
Yeah. It makes a difference. It makes a difference.
He loves when you're there. Yeah.
I missed the show in East Jesus.
Yeah. Me too.
Man, that was a bad show. That was
Darryl,
good.
it's not mandatory that you stick with us. I love having you here, but I know you have a life to get back to in your house if you got to go.
Well, I do need to go feed my peoples.
Yep.
I love you all. Thank you, John. And you guys keep doing what you're doing.
You guys go out and get Bulletproof. If you want to, you can go see the video that was made by Nino Fernandez. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and the song is magnificent.
Another brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you,
All right.
Darryl.
Bye.
All right, man. Take care.
Now I just sit here and get to listen to the conversation. I don't even.
Yeah. What a crowd you've surrounded yourself with here, Dr. Russ. And as we close, we're rounding third base here. And I just want to say that your encouragement for everybody to go out and cast their ballot, I'm glad that it's coming back to you in the form of a lot of people voting early and a lot of people making their vote heard, their voices heard, and their votes count. Since you've had more of a lifetime than everybody else who's appeared on this episode so far, tell us about your perspective for what's going on right now. I mean, do you think that in the 85 years that you've been on this planet, talk about the progress that we've made as a society and if it's been what you expected and what you think we're going to see moving forward in the short term and in the long term? That's a lot.
Just a little tiny question, John. Hit it, Dad.
As the American folk tale goes, I was raised in that briar patch.
Yeah.
I know how to handle that kind of question. Or politicians, you answer the question you're going to answer. I'm in the main encouraged. And I have some worries, big time worries. One is about the intersection of population and climate change. I think that's not going in a very good direction.
Mm-hmm.
Globally, people are going to be driven out of their habitats. The habitats are going to burn down or drown, and people are going to have to migrate. They're already doing it. It looks like it's going to be on a grand scale over the next decades. Bringing it home locally, I think we're still fighting the Civil War. Mm. And I think that's hugely important. I'm astonished at the tremendously significant overlap of healthcare issues, the general welfare of society issues, and the race issues. I don't think Americans are very good at talking about this stuff and dealing with it, but we always had space and movement and so forth. Things are getting a bit coagulated and crowded. The next phase in terms of ethnic relations, I think, is going to be tough. But I think I like the bend we're turning. I am very worried about the 40 million people who believe Trump is sent here by God. They're going to be left with us after he's out of office. And that's going to be some work for society. And I think music will have a role to play here, by the way. The speaking, the sharing. There's going to have to be some kindness, across many borders, people willing to meet and discuss with each other. I see hope. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with the climate. I'm not feeling terribly optimistic right now, but I think American society, we all have learned the catechism of who we are. All men are created equal, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's part of our makeup. And I think we are a nation of immigrants, and we will continue to be, and we'll be tested. I'm optimistic. I'm very worried about the bigger things like climate change and energy sources and that kind of stuff. That's pretty much it. Unless you want to hear chapter 2.
Well, I'm not just saying this because we have we have you on and you started with chapter 1, but I want to hear everything, man. I promise you that anytime you want to speak up, I want to have you on this show.
Okay. All right.
So understand that. But if you want to, actually, I think that sounds very hopeful to me.
Good.
It really sounds optimistic, and given that you experienced a whole lot and a wide spectrum of the stuff that has gone on in the time that you've walked the earth, that sounds like a great big ball of optimism that I'm happy about.
And my granddaughter Lily, there are many other Lilies out there.
Yeah,
I've been paying attention, man. There are some young people. People worry about Lily using up her youth on this kind of stuff. I don't think that's what's happening. I think she's growing and she's going to be a full person. She's simply learning in the culture she lives in what's important and what she makes of what's important, how she wants to express herself. But she's not alone. No. And the generations behind us give me a lot of hope. I'm really hopeful about the voices and the articulation and the comprehension of the young people behind us. Yeah. Including you two guys.
Yes.
I mean, here we are doing this.
Yeah.
Here we are doing this.
Yeah. Well, this is fun. So I just want to, for our listeners, when you get a chance, get out to berkeleycatrecords.com. Go listen to the entire album that Russ has assembled at age 85, his debut album.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people wrestle with the debut album, and when they have youth working for them, it seems like a great thing. But what you've been able to do is you've amassed a cast of characters with the help of your children and the children in the village that you raised that was around them. You were able to say things that operated from a maturity that we all hope we can survive and get to. So it's an important perspective with a whole lot of freshness that it sits upon.
Well, let me just say this, John. I do want to interrupt you right here.
Okay.
It helped a lot that it was in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was music in the schools.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe was a trumpet player for a minute or two in the Berkeley schools.
Phil Hardiman.
And Phil Hardiman, Berkeley High Jazz Band. But the music was down in like the elementary school world. And the town.
You guys had feeders.
That's right. The town is full of music. Yeah. Today, the town is full of, it's a musical town. So we were floating on a sea of a musical inclination. So we just benefited from being here.
Yeah.
And I had an overweening, Judith, my wife, and I had an overweening interest in music and sound and so forth. And so the kids benefited, and then they brought other kids around us and something built. But it was in very fertile soil of Berkeley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to punctuate that point, I grew up in Vallejo, and we had a cool jazz band, and we were pretty good. But when we went places
from Vallejo, though,
absolutely
great musicians out of Vallejo, man, fantastic.
And the thing is, when we went to when I was, I think I might have been either it was a junior or a senior because I was in a jazz band, and we went to Santa Cruz to play at a jazz festival in Santa Cruz, and we all competed amongst the high schools except for Berkeley High. So that's how that worked. It was like, oh, hey, all you high schools, we're going to put together everybody's going to compete in this thing at Berkeley High, and then when you are all done with your revelry, we're going to bring Berkeley High out, and they're going to give an exhibition.
Right.
It was like we're not even giving you a trophy.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
I
mean, that's not. I'm prone to exaggeration, but that happened, and it happened frequently.
The people said, "What's in the water out there?"
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Jon, I'm going to just throw this out because I know that we're going to wrap up soon, and I would be a bad friend and music partner if I didn't say it. But this Oom Chugga remix that I worked on for my father, this gift to my dad, included my longtime singing buddy, Michael Marshall. Yeah. I got Bob on it and Rumors, and it was a joy and a pleasure to sing with him again. And I'm pitching that Mike is working on new music and has invited me to help him with his next project. I'm very, very excited to do that. So there's another seed, Dad, that comes out of this adventure. Cam Parrish, Darryl Anders. I pulled my little play brother, Lex. Augie's Montreal Deli.
Man. Out of retirement. You gotta go to Augie's.
Gotta go to Augie's. Well, I saw Jon at Augie's. Jon's been there.
By the way, yes, I did go to Augie's. Zoe fed me at Augie's, and anybody who walks in there is going to get fed properly. So go there. Yeah. But pulled him out of retirement.
Tommy Shepard, also, who is the co-lead of Alphabet Rockers, which is the group my daughter's in. But I met Tommy through Lex when he was a kid and rapping with the Mofessionals sometimes. He grew up, started working with Tommy. So that's how I knew Tommy at all. And now my daughter's in a group with Tommy. And when Lily heard this verse back of Tommy, she went, I feel like he's mine. I really feel some ownership. I said, that's how we all feel about our first MC. Totally appropriate. He is yours. So, I mean, that cast, and then singing back there, Leah Ticey, Sonia Distel, Dan Turman, Jenna Mamina, Luke Frank, Will Hammond Jr. I mean, I called all of
everybody
and just said, put your voice in there. Brian Dyer is back there. I mean, it's hard to catch folks right now, but that song is, and I say this in the liner notes, that song is representation of the kind of participation in life that my father gifted me, the optimism that he gifted me. Like, I think one of the things I got from you, Pop, that might be the most important thing I got is it doesn't hurt to ask because no isn't a failure. Right? It's okay if you say no. No is a complete sentence. My father also told me that. Right? But I'm cool if I call you and say, can you sing on this? And you're like, I just can't. I'm like, it's cool. I'll call you next week. Like, I don't have any agenda with no. It doesn't bother me. But suddenly there were 20 plus people. My friend Dan Turman's kids are on there. Maya Fleming from the Alphabet Rockers. Lily is singing on there. I mean, this is really just proof of how I was raised. That's what it is. This song is, and this remix are proof of that guy right there and how he raised me. So
this was a Bay Area musical reunion of the Fantastic Four and the Super Friends, the Justice League.
Yes.
And it all happened because of this remix opportunity. And I also just want to acknowledge that it couldn't have happened without Eric. And then all of these things that you say about the, no being a complete sentence. There's a sentence that goes around behind your back that is, you never say no to an Ellis. I think that's on a bumper sticker that we all hide from you. Because we don't want it to go to your head, but it's floating around out there. It's like somebody finds out there was a call that went out and it was like, did you get the call? Yeah, I got the call. You're going to say no? No, I'm not going to say no. You don't say no.
Daryl and Cam did not get that bumper sticker. So they don't say no to my father, but they'll say no to me. Yeah. John, you are a gem of a human being. I just
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you both for your work for all these years and for all the art that you've created and for the catalyst that you've been for the generation that came behind you, Russ. Zoe, when you had 13 people in your backyard making music, you made Bay Area music history. Those were 13 people that I admired a great deal, and at least 2 that I had a crush on. I won't say which 2, but there was only 2 females among the 13. So you take a guess. And now we have another generation with Lillian. And I really mean that anything that I can do for any mission that either of you are on, you just let me know I'm in 100%.
Thank you, man.
The next person you're going to have to contend with is my niece, Isabella Grace.
My goodness.
She's an actress. She got that. My father had that too, but she's got it. That's going to be a trip. We haven't even started on my nephew, so we'll see how that goes. But he's got something to offer as well.
Well, great. We'll keep it coming.
Yeah.
So for all our listeners, BerkeleyCatRecords.com. Check out Russ's album. I sincerely love both of you. Thank you very much for doing this with me.
Thank you, dude. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, man. Take care.
So break it down, everybody. Bye.